This is Ray Mofield once again with our oral history microphone, and today we're privileged to be visiting in the home of Myrvin Mohler here in Benton, Kentucky. He and his brothers have gathered around, and we're all set for what we think is going to be a wonderful session that you'll enjoy. I've known Myrvin for a good long while. He hasn't always lived in Benton, though he was president of the Bank of Benton and a number of other things. He did go to Brewers to school, and therefore he didn't live too terribly far from me, right across the field there near Wadesboro, where I was on the Dave Booker old farm. So, Myrvin, I guess that wasn't more than, what, 6, 7 miles away?
Probably 6 or 7 miles away the crow flies. I was by your farm just a few days ago, and I saw several bluebird boxes, but I didn't see any birds yet.
No, I haven't seen any this spring, but I hope they come back. I've got up about a dozen boxes. It's a beautiful day, and I've read a little bit of the background of your family, and the Mohler family. I noticed you'd had a little research done on it. It looked very great. Of course, a number of ways to spell that, as most American names are. Looking up some of my history, I noticed it's Mofield as I spell it, and then M-O-R-E and M-double-O-R-E, and I guess those are the only 3 variants I found. But the pioneers were not always consistent, but it did mean miller. Ran a corn mill, wheat mill, flour mill, whatever. And that name appears many, many times in American history.
I ran into a gentleman in Portland, Oregon, some 10 or 12 years ago that spelled his M-O-L-L-E-R, and I asked him where he's from originally, and he came out of Illinois. I said, well, our family came from Illinois over into Kentucky, and he was president of the International Kiwanians at that time, and he said, well, wait just a minute, and we got aside and found out that we were coming back on the train together, and on the train we sat down and just had a good long conversation, and we could not directly connect the Mohler that any of the bunch that he knew or any of the family that I knew, but they all came out of Illinois, and he said that he spelled his name just like this, M-O-H-L-E-R, until he got so tired of telling people how to spell it and how to pronounce it that he just decided, so, well, I'll just change mine to M-O-L-L-E-R and let them worry about it then.
Modernized it, yeah. Well, Myrvin, you're 65 and you're retired and you're having a wonderful time. I
haven't regretted a minute. I have just done more nearly as I pleased in the last 3 years than I have in my life. Spent the winter in Florida, and going this coming Thursday to Shelbyville to pick up my 2 grandchildren, and just enjoying the whole bit.
Great. Now tell us your dad's name.
His name was Pleasant Edgar Mohler.
And your mother, who was she?
She was Lula Fleming Mohler. And my father went as Ed all of his life, but Pleasant Edgar was his name, and we grew up, all of us grew up on the Marshall and Graves County line. My father was a school teacher. Taught school for 22 years.
Did you have a little farm where you could be occupied, maybe?
Well, we had a little farm. In fact, we had 100 acres of good land and a very livable home, and had it all paid for. But now that's why I've got Gib here. He can remember these dates more. But in the 1930s, when everybody else lost everything, my father had mortgaged the house and 100 acres for another 100 acres of bottom land, and making a long story short, we ended up with nothing.
Well, we'll stop right there and we'll talk to Gilbert for a while. I believe, Gilbert, you're the oldest at 76?
I'm the oldest boy.
Uh-huh.
Oldest boy.
Were you born in Marshall County?
I was born actually I was born in Marshall County. But directly after I was born, we moved across the line and built a house in Graves County.
Graves County.
So there's where I raised up in Graves County.
Mm-hmm. But you could spit over into Marshall anytime you
throw
wanted
a rock
to.
across the line anytime.
Yeah. That's sort of in the Golo neighborhood, or
No, it was, well, Golo was 4 or 5 miles from our house.
well, in the general area
Yeah,
of Golo.
yeah.
So that's the only name I could think of in that exact part of Graves County. Did you enjoy growing up on the farm?
Oh, we had a lot of fun.
Where did you go to
fun.
school?
Went to school in Graves County.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember
School we call Copeland School.
Say, there are lots of Copelands in the whole area, aren't there? There's Taz here in town and Wade in the county. And
Yeah, but these was over in Graves County, and there's where the school was. My daddy's taught school.
Mm-hmm.
I know one time.
Did you have to go to him anytime?
Had to go to him nearly all the time.
And he is worse on you
He
than
was the
a
teacher.
stranger would have
Yeah, I
been.
know one time the boys, me and 2 more boys had cut up in school, and he made us sit in at recess. So the old toilet, we used it way off down to the side. And he said, now you boys study. I've got to go to the toilet. So he pulled out, and we was sitting there, and one of the boys slipped down the aisle and said, "Bat," and butted me off of the seat. Okay,
You weren't going to take that.
I'll get you back directly. And directly I seen this boy just studying his book, so I got down on my hand and knees and crawled back. I said, "Bat." And about that time, my dad was standing over me with a hickory switch, and he just whooped me all over before I could raise up.
I'll bet you that boy started studying when he saw your dad.
He saw him a-coming, and he stood.
Poor Gilbert was trapped.
Ooh,
Nowhere to go.
I reckon I was.
And you don't know how trapped he was until you had my daddy hold of you with a hickory switch.
Yeah. Well, I had Kelsey Mofield several times. It might have been similar.
Yeah, he was hard on me.
Well, tell us, were you married, Gilbert? I mean, did you get married?
Oh, yes.
Well, tell us then about your wife and any children you might have had while we're...
Well, I married William Aaron Usser's girl, married Usser. She lived up towards Kirksey, in the Kirksey community.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 3 children. The oldest one was Rachel, married Joe Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And she...
Is that Joe Hart Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So she killed herself up above Brewers there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other 2 was twins, Jackie and Judy.
Mm-hmm.
So she died in 76, and I married again.
Mm-hmm.
Married Adele Beach.
How did you meet your wife? Is there anything unusual about that?
Well, no, we just had little old dances and parties and things back then. I met her at one of them. So.
Square dance?
Yeah,
Play
square
party?
dancing.
He was the fiddler at all the square dances then.
Oh, he was.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not all of them, but I did fiddle some at the dances.
You could do leather breeches,
Yeah,
Bile them cabbage down. And,
cut off the log. And
yeah. Okay, that's great. All right, let's move over here and talk to Robert a minute. How are you, Robert?
Oh, fine, fine.
Very good. And you are 72 years old.
No,
Oh, that's no. I got the wrong one. You're the baby. aren't
I'm
you?
the baby.
Okay, I'm about to get mixed up. You're only, actually, he's so young. He really shouldn't be on this program. Should he? 60
Well,
years.
no, not with a bunch of old people.
All right. Did you go to school in Graves County?
No, I only went to school at Brewers.
And do you remember any of your early teachers?
Well, yeah, Roberta Cox was one, and she was from up at Hardin.
I remember Miss Cox. Everybody thought she was a very good teacher.
She
Did
was.
she ever make you mind?
Oh, every day, every day.
In other words, it didn't take a big man to whip. did it?
Mm-mm. She could whip a big man, too. Sure could.
All right. Were you married?
Yes, I married Lyndall Leaf.
Uh-huh.
She was from Cunningham. And she was a cheerleader when I was playing ball. And I met her through these ball games.
Uh-huh.
We married in 1948.
So you've eaten some Parton's country sausage.
Plenty of it, yes, plenty of it.
Yeah. Okay, and probably burned some of R.A. Mabry's Shell gasoline a time or two down there.
I know R.A. real well.
Did you have any children from this marriage?
Had two. Got a boy and a girl.
And were there any grandchildren?
I've got three. My daughter has three.
Are they near enough that you get to see them?
Well, they're about 300 miles. I see them pretty often.
Yeah.
Maybe once every 3 or 4 months I'll go down and see them.
Well, thank you very much. We'll get on over here to Emil, and he's the old man, isn't he? Another one of the old men, anyway.
Yeah.
We get away from the baby boy. Emil, how are you today?
Good. Fine.
Very fine. Now, where were you born?
I was born in Marshall County, right in the same house he was, and moved across the line when I was just a few weeks old.
Uh-huh. So you were a native of Marshall,
That's
but
right.
much of your life you
Yes.
spent growing up in Graves
He was
County.
born in Marshall. I was actually born in Graves.
Well, anyway, it's all more or less the same neighborhood anyway, so we don't make too big a point about that. Did you have to go to school to your dad?
Yes. Yes.
Now, you would never have gotten to any mischief.
Oh, no. No.
You wouldn't have been like Gilbert.
No, no. He told me once, said, now don't get in that apple orchard. None of you. You all stay out of it. I slipped out there and got my pockets full. I thought I was hid behind the weeds, but he met me at the door with this hickory about as big as your finger, and he melted them apples in my pocket. But I didn't see anything wrong with that till I found out it was wrong to steal apples.
Yeah, so he taught you a lesson
He sure
eventually,
did.
which of course is what he wanted to do.
Sure did.
You know, it might help some of our generation today if they had a little more discipline from the parents as they had back then. Do you see any change in the way the generations are being brought up now?
I see quite a bit of change. A lot of change. Back then, parents could correct the children at school, and they could get pretty rough on them, and they would take it, and their parents didn't object. But nowadays, the way I've figured it out, if you whip one a little too much, you're in trouble. A teacher is.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'll tell you what Kelsey Mofield did, that rascal. He went with me the first day when I was enrolling in school at Blakely over in Callaway County, where we had moved. My dad was a sharecropper, by the way, and we moved, as I recall, 12 times before I got out of high school back at Hardin. But Asbury Redden was a mail carrier over there, and his daughter Carrie was teaching. And so he saw fit to go with me the first day. School started the first Monday in July back then. And he told her in my presence that to make me behave, and that if I didn't, if she would just kindly let him know, he'd take care of the problem. And the trouble was, he meant every word of it. So, well, tell us what you liked about school. What are some of the games you played?
Well, I'd had very little schooling, as you can tell by my talking.
Oh, we got a good sound education in reading, writing, and arithmetic back then, and spelling, didn't we? I imagine you can spell better than the college graduates of 1986. But
I come up with polio at 4 years old, and I was already a walk and run around, of course, at 4, you know. And then I was down then. I had to learn to walk again sometime later. I don't remember just how much later. And it was late when I got back in school.
were there any girls in your family?
Yes, sir. They were 3. Jessie, Gusty, and Adele. 3 girls.
Were any of them older than you were?
Oh yeah, Jessie was older than me, and she died when she was 16, and Gussie was next, and she died in a few years, 7 or 8 years ago. And
What I'm angling around at, I guess, if you were sick and you had some sisters older than you were, did they ever spoil you a little bit?
oh yeah, they pet me. Now everybody petted me in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
They still do.
Here's Myrvin speaking up now. Yeah. Very good. Well, did you ever marry?
Yes, I sure did.
Well, how did you meet your wife? Anything?
Well, you may not believe this, but I had a real good friend out there, and on this Friday night, he had a date in Graves County with a girl, and he said, "I want you to take my car. I'm going to give you 50 cents, and you go get me a date with this girl." Well, I said, "All right, I'll do my best."
With a half a dollar, you were pretty well.
Well, now then, a
financed.
half a dollar, you could go to ice cream supper.
Oh my, I should say so.
And ice cream cones is nickel apiece, and soft drinks is nickel, and I went up there, and she come walking out, and she looked so nice and seemed pleased that I come, and I said, "Would you like to go with me to the ice cream supper tonight down here at Brewer's?" And she said, "Why, yes." So we went down there, and we held hands and walked around, and we eat ice cream and drank soda pop as long as that 50 cents lasted.
And you borrowed the car?
No, he give it to me to get him a date.
Uh-huh.
I forgot to get him a date. I got it for myself. I couldn't have it. I forgot it.
I don't know if I want you representing me or not.
So that's what happened. And I married her about a year later.
And you were kind of like John Alden and Priscilla. She said, "Speak for yourself, John." So you did.
And I never did give him his 50 cents back either.
I'll tell you. Well, is he still living?
Yes, yeah,
And he's still your friend.
yeah.
Well,
So,
I'll tell you. What, did he say anything about the way things
well,
worked
he
out?
said the right part about it,
Yeah.
but we'll just not talk about what he said. about it.
Okay, we better get off of that. Did you have any children?
No, we never did have any.
Well, I guess we started over here at Myrvin, and we better kind of wander back in this direction. Let's find out, maybe you can help, and they can join in if they'd like, on your careers and so on, and how you've spent your life. Now, how did you went to Brewers and graduated from high school, and you went in the Army, no doubt?
Yeah, but I want to back up just a little before we get too far away from it. When you was interviewing Robert, you asked about his teachers and so forth. Well, I want to get into the Brewers basketball bit just a little.
Oh, yeah.
Now, McCoy Terry was Robert's teacher, and Alton Ross was principal. And in 1940, I graduated from high school when McCoy Terry had been there 2 years. He came there in 38. So I put the first trophy that McCoy Terry and Brewers team won, and we beat Hardin in the county tournament in 1940. Hardin was supposed to have gone to the state tournament in 40. They went in 41. And then Robert
They lost the final game to Reedland. I remember that well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reedland, a fellow by the name of Bashan from Reedland beat us out that year.
What is that boy that was such a star? Billy, oh, can't think. It seemed like it was a bread, name of a bread down there, but I can't.
But anyhow, then Robert came along in 1941 through 44, I guess, and McCoy Terry and Robert's bunch, he made the all-state team once and went to the state tournament once. And he was quite a basketball player, I guess. I never saw him play a
Brewers
game.
went to state first, what, in 46, I think. Was it?
No, 40.
Brewers went
42.
44.
44, okay. All right.
But back to me leaving then, of course, when I graduated in 40, I went to Detroit, and Emil got me a job at Hudson Motor Car Company, water sanding, and it was strictly a job, but I never saw Robert play a game of basketball. Then I went into the service out of Michigan. So I didn't get to see him play a game, so I guess he was a good ball player.
He must have been. That's great. And when you came back from the war, had you made up your mind you were going to try to work for a bank, or what did you?
Oh, no. I made a statement back then, and since I retired, at the time I started in the bank, I had no intentions of working in one. I might have had intentions somewhere down the line of robbing one, but never did that either. But I went to, in the service, India, Burma, and China, flew the hump.
Over the hump, yeah.
Himalayan mountains, and
Vinegar Joe Stillwell.
well, I saw the plane. I didn't see Stillwell or Chenault, either one. I served under Lord Louis Mountbatten.
Oh, yes.
British.
Became Admiral of the Fleet. Over there.
Right. And let's see, he was murdered too, wasn't he?
Yes, not too many years ago in Ireland.
So we ran into some pretty hairy situations there, but thank God I got home without too many scratches.
Yeah, well, that's remarkable and wonderful that you did. But I'm still trying to figure out how you got into that bank that you might have robbed but didn't.
Okay, after I came back from the service, by the way, I hitchhiked from India to Paducah, and in fact, when I hitchhiked from Chicago into Paducah, it was on a Saturday night, and I stopped over in Brookport, and half of Marshall County was there, and ran into my brother Robert, and he brought me home from there.
Okay.
But after I got home, I started working with Leon Riley in the grocery store out at Brewers, and was on that $52.20. The government, when we came home, gave us
Rocking chair
$20
money.
$20 a month, no, $20 a week for 52 weeks.
Mhm.
And then Lewis Lilly was the gasoline distributor for Gulf Oil Company here in Marshall County, and he came to Brewers one day and told Leon that they were looking for a young man at the bank, and Leon pointed me out and said, well, I've got the young man over there you want. And then a day or two, Lewis Lilly and Dr. Woodall and Fred Philbeck came out and bought some gasoline, and I serviced their car and what have you. And a few days then, C.D. Nichols was Frank Nichols' father,
Yes, sir.
came to Brewers and offered me a job, and I started work in the Bank of Benton. That
So
was in
you-
1946.
So you made a career out of that, and
Mm-hmm.
did just kept rising a little bit. Let's see. Later, man who lived next door to me on 18th Street, Paul Darnell.
Paul
was
Darnell.
in there, and you just kept.
Paul Darnell
easing on up.
Paul Darnell came there after I did, and when C.D. Nichols left,
He'd been a county official of some sort.
county court clerk for years and years, and
Uh-huh.
they thought that he did. Paul Darnell knew more people in Marshall County than any individual I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, Paul Darnell and Mark Clayton, Mark also was a county court clerk. Paul Darnell and Mark Clayton could name every customer that we had in the bank and look them in the eye and knew who they were talking to. And
Yeah.
I never did learn them that well.
Well, of course, the customers kept increasing in number, but that was quite a feat. And it's not bad for business to be able to
Oh
do
Lord,
that.
oh they love it, they love it.
And
In 1946, when I went with the bank, we were $1 million. Now, $1 million plus. It was less than $2 million.
mhm.
And when I left there in 1983, it was 79 plus,
Mhm.
80 million.
Yeah,
So during that period of time, we had a good growth.
enormous growth, and of course that reflected the entire county, and the condition of some of us sharecroppers' sons is
That we
came
all
up-
you're
all
looking
came
at,
up together.
you're
didn't we?
looking at 4 sharecroppers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's of course TVA coming there, and then the plants at Calvert, and
Uh-huh.
all of it together. And
Mm-hmm.
the bank was favorable toward lending money for building new homes, and we got a lot of new homes in the county.
Right.
All of it worked together for the betterment
And
of
in
everybody.
1948, I was a teller in the bank, and there was a little black-headed girl come in to make a deposit for her father, and I rushed up there to wait on her. And when she left, I turned around with that deposit ticket in my hand, and I went to the file and looked to see who that was and what address it was. And well, I found out that she's just up the road towards Hardin from my house, and
Wasn't married.
wasn't married. And I said, well, I'll go up to that little grocery store and look around.
Mhm.
So I went up and visited with her and found out she was working at the Merritt Clothing Company in Mayfield.
And
And,
you have children, do you, Mom?
And I married Melodine Copeland, and we have one son, Ricky Mohler, and he is now in Shelbyville. He married Nancy Brewington from Brandenburg, and they have 2 fine boys. Here, let me just show you my
Just
grandchildren.
happen to have a
Just
picture.
happen to have their picture. See, this one is Benjamin, and his
Oh.
birthday is April the 3rd, next
Handsome.
Thursday night.
Mhm.
Handsome, they're beautiful, they're smart,
Yeah,
just like their granddad.
of course, intelligent.
Intelligent. And this is Daniel, and Daniel is 4. So I've got to go get them next week and bring them and let them help Granddaddy do a little gardening.
Well, friends, we're down to 1 minute. Does anybody have a real funny story you could
Well,
cap it off
I'll tell you
with?
one on Myrvin.
All right, here
He
comes
was
Gilbert.
always had the money on his mind. We was all over at Dr. Bean's, and wheat threshing time come on. So, Myrvin, there was a picnic at Bacchusburg,
4th of July.
4th of July, and I slipped around to Myrvin. I said, now I'll give you $2 to haul wheat in my place, 4th of July. He said, all right. Well, Emil done the same thing. He slipped around to him, said, I'll give you $2 to haul wheat, go with the thresher on the 4th of July. And Dugan, our other brother, that's dead, he done the same thing, so Myrvin hired all three of us.
$6.
$6, 4th of July.
That man knew what was going on.
He was always pretty sharp.
Well, that was just half of it. Dr. Bean came by and says, now these other boys are going to picnic. Here, handed me some money, says, you stay here. And I said, well, all right. Then my daddy came by and told me the same thing.